Right now, as I am the program director for our Western Illinois University Early Childhood Literacy Project, and I work with college students and send them out into early childhood classrooms so that they can help children have that extra boost to be ready for kindergarten. In the past, I was a preschool teacher for 24 years and worked with children and parents and university students in Macomb, Illinois and Normal, Illinois. I decided to become a professional in child care field and early childhood pretty much by accident. I was actually videotaping some children in a classroom for a project when I was a communications major, and the director saw how I worked with the children and asked if I'd like to volunteer. It so happened that they had a position for a student worker, and 24 years later, I was still in the field. To consider this field as a profession, I think it's important for people to realize that what you really are doing is helping children. You're not going to make millions and millions of dollars. You're not, a lot of times you're not going to get that kind of pat on the back saying, you did a good job, you did great, thanks for helping us with that. The whole idea is that you are helping the children and seeing the look on the children's face when they learn something and when they're able to do something on their own is the biggest reason to go into the field of early childhood education. My philosophy of teaching is, kind of goes with the curriculum that I implemented in my classroom. I use the project approach, which is a curriculum philosophy that's all based on the children's interests and builds on the children's questions, and the children answer the questions on their own. At the early childhood stage, the answer is not really that important. It's the process of how they're getting to that answer. And it's building those problem-solving skills and helping them become critical thinkers, which is missing in a lot of classrooms because they don't have to think about the answer. They're told there's one answer and that's it, and there's no work on getting to the answer. So my philosophy is giving children that chance to become critical thinkers and become problem solvers and to become part of a group. Many of those children will stay in the same group throughout their school years. They're forming friendships, they're forming ideas on how to actually think, they're learning how to share, they're learning how to, in a lot of cases, sit at the table and eat. They're learning all those essential things that without early childhood education may not happen. If parents are busy working and so on, it's harder and harder, it gets harder and harder each year for parents to do it all. So early childhood education, I think, is very important because it is that first chance for children to learn in a formal setting. Child care and early childhood education is so important because it gives children that boost to be able to enjoy school and be part of a social group. The socialization is a very important part. When children first start in a large group, it's hard, and the sooner that they are able to become part of a group and work with a group, the better. So the earlier, the better for that, because we don't live in a world where they are going to be alone. It's very hard to be alone in our world. So it's important for them to get that as soon as they can, and the earlier, the better. For my positions that I've had in the early childhood field, they've all been in lab schools for universities. So I did require a bachelor's degree, which I do have a bachelor's degree in early childhood education from Illinois State University. I also have a master's degree in elementary education from Western Illinois University. I'm staying up to date in early childhood education. I simply read a lot. I'm a reader. I do like to read. But I also am still very involved in different early childhood groups and go to early childhood conferences and still work with networking with other teachers. I have done gone to many, many early childhood conferences and worked with many different teachers in many different areas of the country and actually in other parts of the world. And through that, I've been able to become a published author, writing for early childhood magazines and journals. And so I'm able to take what I've learned and share with other teachers also. I've also presented at many conferences as a way to expand my learning from them and their learning from me. So I think it's been very important for that networking part for me to expand my career and become a better teacher. No one educational philosophy or one educational curriculum or one educational training is perfect. You have to pick and choose from different ones and blend them all together to make a well-rounded teacher and well-rounded classroom and well-rounded children. You can plan and plan and plan as many events or activities as possible, but they're never going to go the way you planned them. I think it's very important for you to be able to see how children react to what you're doing and integrate that into your teaching. And one more would be patience. Patience is also very important for the children and for yourself. I find a lot of teachers have a hard time being patient just waiting for an answer from a child. And it's important for children to be able to process and think about things before they blurt out an answer. Trait for working with parents, I think the important is patience. And also understanding that parents aren't always going to understand everything you are doing in the classroom and why you are doing it, and they're not always going to understand that what they're doing is actually helping the child and that anything they do is good and helps the children. So that understanding is very important. If they haven't taken the classes you've taken, they haven't learned some of the things that you have, they have other skills to bring to the table, which are great, but it's important for you as the teacher to help them understand that those skills that they bring to the table are also very important. The biggest challenge in early childhood education is definitely the change, the push down of curriculum and expecting young children to do essentially things that they're not ready for. In our race to become the premier educational country of the world, we've kind of backstepped because we're missing out on that whole play and problem solving that children really need to be able to become productive parts of society. Play is a very important part to how I taught and to children's lives, and as we move farther away from play, it's very frustrating for me as a teacher. The biggest surprise I found in early childhood is the lack of male role models in the classroom. There are still so few men in the field, and it's important for children to get both of those angles of teaching, male and female, and see men interacting with females and vice versa, and seeing men in a more nurturing way is important for children to see. So I wish, and I don't know how to change it, but I wish there were more men in early childhood, just because there are children that don't have male role models in their lives. The best way to work with parents as a teacher, I found, is helping parents remember that they are their children's first teacher, that they are part of this. It's not just you give me your children for the day and I do it all, and then they go home and you don't do anything with them, and vice versa. You have to combine the two and remember that they're learning all the time. And as parents, you are a teacher.